Hello and welcome to Conversations with Nurit. My guest today is Gabor Harsani, who is a Hungarian master of silence. I'm not going to talk about how I met Gabor because you can read that in my book, The Blind Leading the Blonde on the Road to Freedom. So Gabor, I understand that you have the title of Master of Silence. What is your definition of silence? If it can even be defined. Trick question.
Yeah, I guess I'm a Hungarian master of silence, and if you're Persian or Afghanistanian or German, then you be German master of silence. It's not my exclusive right.
Oh, good.
The kind of silence, the inner silence that I'm talking about is the inner silence that's not the opposite of being noisy. It's not the kind of silence where I'm holding my thoughts or holding myself and forcing myself not to think or forcing anything. It's the kind of inner silence is where one steps out of duality entirely. And when one steps out of duality entirely, you're no longer waiting for your mind to stop. No longer waiting for anything. It's not the lack of noise. The kind of silence that's available when you are connected to your body. Your body is extremely intelligent. It's already have the golden ratio, which is that ratio which is available all over the universe. Your body already has the golden ratio. For example, this part of my hand is 1 to 1.6 to my forearm. And so inner silence is when you are connecting to the inner silence of your own body and of your own intelligence.
What's the importance of the body? Why the body?
Well, the importance of the body is that you might as well make it important. You carry it with you all the time.
Yes, I've never left my body behind, not yet.
Instead of carrying a passport or an ID or a driver's license, might as well say, hey, dude, here's my body, I exist. And I know in many spiritual circles, so-called spiritual circles, it's not okay to refer to the body very much. But I'm not talking about spirituality, I'm talking about awakening. I'm talking to the body because the body is an absolutely important, essential part of awakening. Without the body, we can't wake up. Like Jesus said, it's the seek first the kingdom of God within, and all else shall be added unto you, etc. The body is connected to the universe, to God. The body has the golden means. The body is super intelligent. And without the body, like I said, we can't wake up. We can't wake up without the body because if we only listen to our senses, our hearing, our seeing, our touch, etc., they are very limited. Our senses can only sense a very small portion of reality, and those small portions of reality make up our world that we speak of, make up our limited world. And those limited concepts make other little concepts. And until we find ourselves cornered. So the sensory world that we experience and make up our life from is so extremely limited that awakening cannot happen from that perspective. Awakening cannot happen from the understanding perspective, from the research perspective, from the reading perspective. The body is an absolute essential part of awakening because that's the only part of us that is connecting to infinite intelligence. My brain, my mind, no matter how many diplomas I have, could possibly run my body for 2 seconds. So why not accept your body as a door, like Jesus said, knock and it shall be opened. And so all we have to learn is how to knock, and the door shall be opened. Why not trust him? Knock and it shall be opened. And a very simple inner attention that you can learn will open the door for you and will open the door to awakening, which is your birthright.
So how does one knock on that door?
Of course, the knocking on the door is a metaphor. We look inside the body and there's no door to knock on. So it's all metaphorical. As soon as we understand one concept, we must drop the concept or the metaphor. Otherwise, you can't go any further. And the question was, Nurit, what was it?
How does one knock on the door?
How does one knock on the door?
Symbolically, of course.
Yeah. Symbolically, we knock on the door simply by slowing down our mind. And I can slow down my mind very easily just by taking a conscious breath. And then after that, connecting to my own attention, instead of leaving my attention 100% outside me, connect with the so-called inner body, meaning that my attention can go within, like I'm doing now. I can go within and stay there and stay there and stay there. It's a very simple thing. Like, for example, if you're wherever you are sitting, just be aware of your hands. You don't have to look at them. Just be aware of your hands and keep looking at me. That is the knocking on the door. It's that simple. And the more you can practice that without any expectation, the more the door will open for you, and a whole new world of possibilities and love will open up for you. This is your birthright. It's simple. Don't let anyone tell you that it is not. Your mind would much prefer to have some sort of a system that you research or study, and some sort of levels on the end of which you would, by the grace of a guru or by the grace of your learning, on the end of which you would get this reward of getting enlightened or waking up. And that is the explanation why people are not waking up. That approach I have just described absolutely guarantees that you're never going to get there, ever. Awakening is beyond time. You can't get to awakening with a whole bunch of time-constrained concepts. So the whole approach has to change. You have to accept that there is a different approach. So if you wanted to build a bridge, it's perfectly fine to research, study, have your diploma, and research out different type of steel, which one would be more suitable. Have your engineering, have your blueprints, etc., on the end of which you're going to have a bridge. And this is the way it should be. And no amount of awareness or consciousness will build a bridge. However, if you want to wake up, it starts with the end objective. It starts in the now. So you actually reach the objective now, not in time, right now. The only time you can go there is now. It's not going to take a long time. It's not going to take a short time. It's instant. It's either instant or it won't exist. You will not be able to do it unless it's instant now. The simplicity of which somewhere in your heart has to be accepted and tried. Try to look at me, feel your hand, and be with it. You just reached your goal, your objective. of being present, and you just reached your objective of awakening. Now there's further work to do.
Oh boy.
But instead of reaching your objective in time, you have to reach it instantly. The work after this, the intellectual work, would mainly involve what I would call immunization. It's not a cumulative learning. It's immunizing your mind against attacking you or trying to get you off presence. Immunizing your mind to not to attempt so much, to go against this and not to go back into the time constraints. And so, yes, to be fully staying, to be fully awake and to stay there will take some time. But most of the time will be spent on immunizing your mind or getting used to your mind operating in a different fashion and cooperating. But your goal you can only reach now, instantly, in this moment.
How did you come about discovering this?
Certainly not from books or courses. I have, of course, read many hundreds, if not 1,000 books. Took many seminars and learned from all kinds of people, but I did not realize the simplicity of this until I had suicidal depression that has lasted for 12 years. So I needed a real big beat up to actually surrender and say, okay, God, okay, it's now. Because of my character, I needed 12 years of beating. You don't. That was my path. So for me, my path was that I got so beaten up that I had to surrender. And how I actually surrendered is, I remember in my 20s, I took all kinds of martial arts, Hapkido, karate, kung fu, etc. And my Hapkido master, Mr. Park, when I reached my black belt, I was an egotistical young man, and I said, okay, now how do I go any further? And he said, you just started. And one of the techniques or tactics that he was teaching us is how to focus to the inner body, because we were demonstrating stuff like how you stand in the ground and people cannot move you, or how you, for instance, keep your arm straight and people can't bend it, things like that. And somehow in the middle, not in the middle, but towards the end of my depression, I remembered this simple tactic. And I said, well, okay, I've tried everything, and why not try to go with him? Jesus is with him, so okay, I'm finally gonna try to go with him.
What the hell?
Not only that, but my Hapkido teacher taught me how to go with him, so why not try? So I was sitting on a beach in the evening in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico with my depression. I said, okay, I'll try. And I tried the inner focus, and instantly my depression dropped.
Wow.
Now it kept trying to come back, but the result was instant. And what I'm telling you is that your result will be instant. To stay there consistently will require some work, but you will reach your goal instantly, can only reach it instantly. So how I came about is, finally I looked inside, even though the information was right in front of me for so many years. Okay, God, I'll look inside. It works. Try it.
So I understand that you do private sessions with people and you help them have this awakening like you just described. And do you also have sessions with people who are struggling with the after effects of it when the mind keeps kicking in and they have a hard time staying present? How do you help them?
Yes. Yes, I do. I help people by what I call by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that when two people look at each other and they are present with each other, and that will happen very easily when you have a section with me. I'm holding space for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am helping you temporarily in slowing the mind down, and I'm helping you to defend the instant attack that your mind would like to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's not a nice way to say your mind will attack, but that's probably what it's trying to do instantly.
Mm-hmm.
It'll slow down, and eventually you'll make friends with it, and your mind will be in full cooperation with you. But at the beginning, you need someone's help to keep you there, to help you stay there yourself, to stay present with yourself, to stay in your loving heart with me long enough until the being will recognize itself. Once the being recognizes itself, and most importantly, recognizes that this is not a meditation session, this is not feeling good in the mind session, this is beyond it, this is this peaceful, consistent, wonderful feeling. As soon as the being recognizes itself, you will no longer need me. So those are really the objectives of having private sections with me.
Great. Thank you very much. We've been listening to Gabor Harsani speak about his teaching of silence and awakening. Thank you, audience, for watching with us, and God bless, and find your silence.
Thank you, Nurit.